This is great to speak to you, Bert. Do you mind if I ask how old you are?
Well, as fresh as last Monday, it was 85.
85,
85.
Where was home to you originally, Bert?
I was born at Harviestoun. It's Speyside. My father ran the farm there for a man that I never knew the name of, but that's. Now, where the cottages is for Harviestoun, across the road, was the road up to Garfield. Now, that was an Aberdeen Angus herd, and they were famous for their witches.
The what is?
A witch
right,
family.
okay.
That was a family.
Right, Garfield, yes.
John Grant of Garfield was. But when I went there, he was 80. Now, because I was born at Aberdeen, and my father met up with him, and he says, "I'll send the wee bugger up to you when he's ready to work." John Grant of Garfield. I don't think my father would swear even. But however, and that was what happened.
And just where is Garvold?
Aberlour's 10 miles from it.
Okay.
And if you're going to Granton, you pass the road into Garfield on the left and the Aberdeen farm. So I was a year there. Harviestoun was needing a young stock. And my father contacted Gavin Ogg, and there was Gavin Ogg and Alec Ogg, which was maybe in that year's the top stockman in there. So I got a letter from my father saying that this job I could have it if I wanted to, if I wanted to stay. But he also sent a letter to Mr. Grant of Garfield.
Right.
So he knew, he came and spoke to me, and I said, oh well, it might be a good thing. And I went. Well, my father did everything.
What year would that be, Bert?
I would say 41.
41, okay. And Harviestoun would be the top boys then, would they?
Oh yes.
Yes, yeah.
Amazingly enough, it's a brag I have. But would brush 5 Perth champions in succession.
Okay.
And Gavin Ogg had 2, and Johnny Lowney came when Gavin went up to the farm above Kirriemuir. And Johnny Lowney worked for Mr. Kerr on another farm, and he came to Harviestoun to look after the Aberdeen Angus. So he had 3 Perth champions.
He had 3,
Go to Harviestoun when I was 15, and I would leave there when I was 19. I was about 5 years there. And I went home to Lindertis, because they just started, the 2 Aberdeen Angus cows, but they had courts across Scotland. My father was looking after Lindertis.
Who owned Lindertis?
Sir Turtle Rowe. But, so I was 2 years at Lindertis, and I wasn't getting a big pay. So I got a bigger pay, and I went away to work on an arable farm. And within 6 months, I met up with Gavin Ogg.
Right.
He says, you wouldn't like to come back, would you?
Okay.
So I went back.
To Harviestoun?
At Harviestoun. So now, Westdrums was advertising for a stockman.
Right.
Boots, Pure Drug Company, had just taken it over in the January. Gerry Ranking was the manager. And I phoned them, but it was Shorthorns and Aberdeen Angus. Oh well, I says, I've never worked with Shorthorns. I was hoping it was the Angus, so that was the end of that. But I was away back to Dunby Stirling, I was working, and I got a telegram to come up on Saturday. Gerry Ranking and Bob Adams had been there on Sunday when I went away in the bus. They came in to see us and spoke to my father. So, and he had a go-ahead ability about him. If he started something, he would never stop till he'd won it. You know. So I come up to see Gerry Ranking, and I was employed, and I was 22.
Right.
And that's where the great Dave Smith got all his experience.
Yeah.
Produced. He was in among cattle. I mean, his father, amazingly enough, I remember it, wasn't a great herd, but the father went there to be manager, Speed of Forneth. Now that's suited above Blair Gowrie. And he improved the bulls that much at Forneth that he was March sale champion in his first attempt. And there were about 200 bulls at March sales in that time.
Yeah.
And Dave, that's where his experience.
Came
And
from.
Dave did a while at Lindertis with my father.
Did he?
As a young boy, you get a young lad. Right. And then I went down Grant to the Thorn. I
Okay.
was about 6.5 years at Westdrums. But I produced a bull sale champion, so.
From Westdrums.
Perfect Prince of Westdrums.
Perfect Prince. What year was that, Bert?
53, I think.
53. What kind of money did he make, do you know?
7,000
that's
to
it.
the Argentine. And that was, when I'm speaking to people about Gerry Ranking, he bought the mother from Rowley. I can't mind the farmer's name at all, but that was in England someplace. And the Gerry Rankin bought a stock bull for his Angus and his Shorthorns when he went his first year there.
Right.
A Harviestoun bull, and he was the sire of the Perfect Prince, and out of a Rowley coup. And they were, I mean, you speak about the size of Angus is now, but if you'd seen that Rowley coup, she was a hell of a good coup, but her legs was just like that.
Yeah, they just shortened the legs of them.
Great body on it. And I went down Grant then, and I was 9 years on Grant. And Mrs. Colfax bought this farm, and she approached me in October for I come and look after it for her.
Right.
And well, I had the bulls started for the bull sales. So, well, I said, I'm going to stick at this. But before Smithfield time, I was approached again, no by Mrs. Colfax, somebody that knew me, said, you think you should go and work with Mrs. Colfax. So at Smithfield, I was employed. But I had to work to the end of March on Grant. Our best success at Lowney was champion at Smithfield with Charlie. That was the first Charlie ever to be champion. When I was on Grant, we went to Smithfield every year with about 5 bullocks and heifers.
Yeah.
And he was champion with a white bullock called Snowflake. And then the next year he was champion with a baby beaver, which was the first time it had ever happened. Black Bob was his name. Bob Adams bred him. I think he was champion with a heifer, a pure heifer. And then he was reserved with a steer, senior steer.
But to just winding back a little bit, you were at the Thorn, just to get my dates right. You went from Westdrums at what year would that be?
I went, I think, 58.
58. You'd have gone
Yes,
from Westdrums, so you'd have started at the Thorn in 58, which is the beginning.
March.
And you'd be getting bulls. You'd be putting. How many cattle would there be at the Thorn then?
Oh, I would have a herd of 30 or 35,000. It never went up. And I mean, they weren't the wee ones, they were big ones. Hell of a good one. And him and Bob Adams bought a bull from Haymount, Bosun of Haymount, and he left a hell of a good couple of calves. But then the next stock bull they bought was Jubal, the Man of Hull. And we had a hell of a good bull that year, election of the Thorn. And he was champion. In fact, the Bosons, the crop of calves that were in Perth now, I'd say there were 6, and there were 40,000 was the total.
Oof. Okay.
And the next year with the Juval Erics, Juval Erics and Man of Hull, there were about the same number, and might have even been 8, I can't mind. But the election was champion, and we won the groups.
Right.
And he made 22,000. But the crop of bulls was 46.
46,000.
And Bob Adams had 49. That was 2 crops was off the same bull.
Of the same bull?
He left a lot of good bulls there. And no big, but thick. With a bull at the Thorn that year, Equity was his name. The election was born in the beginning of February. The Equity was in March.
Right.
And always said he had a head on him, he could drink out a bottle.
You could what?
Drink out a bottle.
Okay.
So you know how long a nose he had.
Yeah.
But he had an arse on him like that. and we got 38,000.
Really, 38.
And that's what they were.
Uh-huh.
That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what they wanted. Yeah. But each year, because I mean, they were getting smaller in the 50s, but then it got to a stage at the early 60s when they went down again.
Oh, aye.
Yeah.
Aye. Well, that would be into the 60s.
Yeah.
See, that was 1960.
Yeah.
Election was 1960.
60, that's what you said. Yeah. Okay. And did you ever get to go to the Argentine bit?
No.
No. Ranking went, didn't he?
Yes, but he was he could speak the Spanish language.
Oh, that's helpful.
And
I think I knew. Hadn't he worked in the Argentine before?
Quite possible.
He worked 3 years in the Argentine before he came back to Boots, if I remember right. Yeah.
He was, you see, he was an uncle of Bertie Marshall's, the short-horn breeder for down at Stranraer,
Right, okay.
Lincolnshire. That was his uncle,
Uh-huh.
and he worked there, and he would put a lot of bulls to Argentine
Yeah.
and everything. But amazingly enough, I went there when I was 22 and Gerry Ranking was 29.
Really, I was only a young man.
And it's the knowledge he had, he was terrific.
Was it?
No lie. And Dave Smith, I said, he was about the only man he knew could buy a beast lean and was a good one.
Really? Oh, okay.
He didn't need them all fun.
Okay. Well, tell me about the Lindertis bull then, because I think you're the man that knows more about him than anybody. Did you bring him in?
No, I didn't.
No.
No. The stockman that brought him out was Charlie Gordon. He was at he's in Arcadia now. I had a great time when I was at Thorn with Arcadians.
Uh-huh.
And they came out October sale evening and seen the bulls basically. 3 or 4 of them, and one of them was an uncle,
Right.
Charlie Gordon.
Okay.
So he got him down for the winter months. He was about 3 or 4 months. We was preparing for the bull sale. And we had other 2 chaps, but we got this 4th lad because it was a lot of unnecessary work. Or unnoticeable,
Yeah.
I should say, no
Yeah.
unnecessary.
Yeah.
But Charlie was there for that time.
But he was an Arcadian then, was he?
Yes,
Okay.
and I think when they finished with the Thorn, my father took him to Lindertis, and he worked with the bulls. Charlie was just a young lad. I don't know if he was even 20 at that stage. And I went along and did the trimming.
Right.
And because the Thorn and the Lindertis was only about 8 miles apart. And he was just a big, funnily enough, I'm saying he's a big bull.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody would say he was a big bull.
Not when you see the pictures of him, no, but he was only a baby, wasn't he?
Aye, that's right. He was maybe 12 months old.
Just about,
And he was a more up in the air bull than most bulls.
Was he?
And on the road to the ring, Bob Adams and Alan Grant stopped my father and said, we'll buy your bull here. Oh, what kind of money are you speaking about? Oh, he says, 10,000. Oh, we'll just let him go to the ring, he says.
Right, okay.
But they must have got the news that the Black Watch was interested in.
Yeah.
But
Was he a good bull?
oh yes.
As good a bull as there's been?
Well, he was he was a good bull, and I wouldn't have said he wasn't outstanding. No, I wouldn't have said he was the best bull ever. So, well, my father was a great perfectionist when he was doing something, and when the bull was being tested not to go to America, he had to be semen tested. And Jim Swanee, which was 100% at the Scooney Eye Centre, one of the best vets ever I come across, it was his job to come and test him.
This after he sold or before? After
Just before he was going.
So he'd come back home then, would he?
Yes.
Come back to Lindertis.
Well, he'd been there for a month.
Would he?
Now, word came that he was going away to Ireland the next day, and then he was flown out from Ireland to the States. They were a heifer in season. Father was tied up with other things, getting ready for him going away the next day. And he phoned me and he says, come along and Charlie and you can see if you can't get this bull to work on this heifer. And she was young. So we're going to serve her.
Uh-huh.
Being a young bull, he wasn't just digging holes in the dung and so forth for him.
Sure.
And but of course he wasn't fertile. Now there's a lot of stories,
Yeah,
but I would say that
I'd like to hear the story. Come
the
on.
real story is that his semen and his urine mixed, and that was the reason he wasn't fertile.
Really? Uh-huh.
And amazingly enough, Dave Murray had a picture of him being operated on that came out of the Farmers Weekly. He was lying on a table.
In America, all right.
And they were trying to see if they could get him.
To sort him out, uh-huh.
Now, the unfortunate thing that Dave was telling me it had this picture. It's some of their photos. He was, Geordie was pally with Jeff Ward. He wasn't speaking about that, was he?
Jeff Ward.
Aye. To the States. And I said, stop that and let Jeff see it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, when they brought them back, the other photos that they had, the bloody operation wasn't in it.
They'd have gone with it.
What was the breeding of him?
Now, Doonside cow,
Uh-huh.
family, it's a good Doon.
Uh-huh.
The granny would be bought for Doonside. And amazingly enough,
Yep.
father showed, I think, the mother are one of the same family. I'm not 100% sure on that. But he was, Ball at the Belladrum was champion at the Royal Show.
Right.
And the Lindertis cow was female and reserve.
Uh-huh.
The Royal.
Royal, all right.
I can't mind what she was, but they won the Burt Trophy.
Did they?
Aye.
Ah, so I didn't realise. So his mother won the Buck Trophy.
I'm not 100%
No.
sure of that.
Okay.
But the same family.
Yeah. Let's move on now. The herd of cattle that came up to Lowney up the road here. They came up from the south. What was the breeding behind those birds? Were they they'd all be breeding that had come from
Oh
up
well,
here?
they'd been starting up the herd, and there was a lot of cattle that was bought from different herds, and they weren't a built-up family. At the Thorn and Harviestoun, you could get a family of 10.
Uh-huh.
Oh, the same family.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
they kept the breeding. If there was a breeding line,
Absolutely,
they would
yeah.
multiply.
So when you came here, did you start buying females, or did you just breed up from the bulls that you had?
We had the whole herd of cows came, and Bob Adams, Gerry Ranking, Alan Grant, and I don't know who, and this particular year went round in Britain looking at the herds of bulls. Now they said the best beast, young bull they saw was a bull, Aberdeen Angus, a Luckin. Bill Luckin. Now, my brother was at Witch Cross,
Okay.
and Bill Luckin bought 4 females from him, and they was 5 mile away from Witch Cross. And this story was that this was the best bull I saw. And Mr. and Mrs. Colfax, this was before my time, went to see him and bought him 10-month-old, 10,000. And he, well, being April, they couldn't get him to work, so they had to buy a bull to get the cows and calves, and they bought one from Westdrums. And amazingly enough, he was the only bull I seen you couldn't go in aside.
Couldn't what?
Go in beside him.
No.
No, he did a nasty bloody. Whenever he saw you, he just stood and looked at you, and if you went in beside him,
You got it down here.
he would throw you out.
Yeah.
But he, Angus, and that's what he was. I said he was lucky if you got 1 out of 5. But he could breed. What he did leave was up to standard. Sell 2 or 3 good bulls of them.
But you didn't buy more females here then, you just went...
We did the first year. She said to me, if you want to buy any females, Bert, you can see what you think. The Westdrums was selling 2 heifers that was out of 2 harvesting cows.
Right, and that you'd work
Gerry
with.
bought.
Yeah.
And of course, they weren't hellish well presented. And we got one for $250 and the other one for $300. And she was she's a hell of a nice person, Mrs. Colfax. And of course she was friendly with Gerry. And he says, oh, I don't know what Bert bought this for from. He says, that's cattle we're needing rid of. It's a pedigree I was buying, it wasn't it, the animal. And he says, you can come and have the pick of the heifers that's in the court. So she was delighted about that. And I says to Gerry, and what are they going to cost? Oh, well, we'll start off at 1,500, he says. I says, Death. That's why I wanted that. And I says, he shouldn't have been selling that pedigrees. But that was my...
Was your contribution to the stock?
Well, it was because we had the Earl Angus bull, elite, and Westdrums. So we needed another bull, and we bought a bull off Scott Watson, a Downey Cairn.
Okay.
That's down on the coast road. He was off Paragon of Ford House. In fact, Scott Watson come. He says, I want you to come and see this bull. So I went down to see it. He says, now, will you give me a hand to bring him out? And he had a tremendous coat of hair. I never seen a bull with as much hair all his life. And he says, you're on a commission if you help me to bring out this bull. So the bull won his class, but we were needing a bull for Lowney. And I said to Mrs. Colfax, she says, if you see a bull, we'll have a look at him. So I told her about Scott's bull. But I said, the problem is, I've been helping them bring him out. No, very much work, just going and looking and saying what in some month or something like that. Now I says, I'm on a commission for what this bull makes. But I says, I want you to know that nobody else knows that, but you and Scott was. So she was very friendly with Jimmy Schofield, the export, and he was one of our advisors. So she asked him to look at this bull. So that was all right. So we got the bull for 2,200. Scott says, you silly bugger. Could have earned £1,000 yourself there.
Could have made 10,000 of him, couldn't you?
But no. Well, we had a tremendous good crop of calves to sell the year at the... That was his first crop. And we had a breakdown in brucellosis, and that's why they sold their herd. It was all young stock. We lost 18, they were up in the field up the top there, 18 yearling and 2-year-old heifers.
Oh, shit.
And we lost a bloody lot. And the bull he wasn't sold with the cows, he was sold with the bulls. Now, we was reserve junior champion, we won, and the oldest one was born in February, but we had a March calf, and he was reserve junior champion. Newhouse was junior champion. It was the first year that the juniors started on the 1st of January, because the classes was getting, the bulls was getting older. And he bought for the Argentine, but he never got there. There was a bloody fire in the boat, and he got burnt.
Oh, no.
That was the end of it. The Ballandalach bought Eutharigan of Downey Cairn was the bull's name. And he was off that Prince of Peribus bull that Bob Crockett had. When we sold him, we got 1,800 for him. But he was only 3-year-old. And Ballandalach bought him. And they were junior champion for 3 years in succession.
Really?
With his son. So I was fine pleased about that.
Yeah. And you stayed, so that the herd dispersed here then? No?
Lowney was dispersed. The herd was dispersed before we had 5 years running commercially.
Right.
After that.
Okay.
We had quite a good sale on the day, but it was a bloody bad sale. If you think about how cattle did, but the breed was on the down at the time.
What year was the dispersal?
It would be in the early 70s.
Yeah. Well, you stayed with them, yeah? You stayed.
Oh
here.
yes, aye. That just what was the best thing I could ever have done, because when they decided they were too old for having a farm up here, they said that I could have the farmhouse which I was living in, I could have this cottage and this land up here.
Right. Okay.
So we've been very happy here ever since.
So you were living in the farmhouse at the time, right?
Yes.
Right. So you carried on farming it?
Well, I'll tell you, I landed with a job at the time with the Agricultural Training Board, which was a government-run thing. I was 15 years there. And I did livestock instruction and got all over the country doing that. And I had some local jobs with them that I did 2 days a week, definitely, and other days doing instruction.
I remember you doing that. But you mean you were foot trimmer for you were foot trimming for
yes, for the training board, yes.
For the well, were you foot trimming for yourself? I suppose that would be
no,
no.
I did it for I did foot trimming for people, but I never just was at it every day. If somebody said, "Will you come and do some goose feet?" I just went and did it. The foot trimming has completely changed compared to what it was at that time. When it was just a chisel and a mallet.
Yeah, sure. Now it's all electric, isn't it? Roll over crates and
when the grinders come in, it just made foot trimming a completely different
game. I remember working with Bob Ritchie from here with the crates, and I think you were involved in designing that one of the foot trimming crates for him, if I remember right.
Well, I'll tell you how it came about. I had a crate made for myself. I just fit it onto a trailer I got and trailed it all over the country. Because you went in about and there was a farm manager in the area that I did feed for, and he moved up into Inverness area, and he phoned Bob Ritchie. He wanted a crate made the same as what I had.
All right, okay.
So they didn't make it exactly the same. I thought they did a bloody good job, because it was a crate you could handle cattle on, bare feet in, you know. My crate was only for bare feet.
No, it was a great crate, I remember it well. No, I can remember you being in that, and also remember, in my mind, you're one of the best cattle dressers I've ever seen, and when that's I've seen a few, and over the years, and back that day, and you would be Ian Anderson would be up there with in that, and one or two, but you're a man I've never seen use a set. You were always scissors, so you would have gone to electric clippers eventually, I suppose.
Yes.
But you were.
No, it was.
You were scissor man.
Yes. I was slow to go on, but I got on fine with the scissors.
When you first started going down to Smithfield, all those would be dressed with scissors, would they?
Yes. I remember that snowflake road, and it was a kind of 2 coats he had, and they had a lot of, they were single hairs, you'd say, a bit longer than the undercoat, and I did them with the thinning scissors.
All right.
And Alan Grant came out, and of course I thought a lot of him, and Alan was having a look at him. He says, "You been trimming the stot?" "Aye." "You made a bloody good job." "Oh well," I says, "I tried to. I wish I was there." "Oh, but," I says, I wouldn't enjoy it if you'd been there." He says, "How did you do it? Because you can hardly see us. You couldn't. That was the trimming scissors, didn't they show it was cut, you see?"
Sure,
That was him. And I mean, he was outstanding on him. He kind of just they wouldn't hear him nowadays. But amazingly enough, that the year that we won with the Charlie had a far better start the year before.
Okay.
And he won his class at Smithfield. But Jim Stobart was judging, but he wouldn't have put him up any further than just his class.
What, the
Charlie Cross.
That's Charlie the year before?
Charlie Angus start, and then the next year with another Charlie Angus start. Well, and at that time there was classes for first crosses, and then there was second, on a thing. But there was 28 bullocks in the class that he won before he went on to be champion.
That's a big class.
Well, that was right. They were all first crosses.
No, they were great days. They'd split them after that, didn't they?
Yes,
They'd split them. Yeah, it was 70s.
Well, I'll tell you, when I went to Thorn, Alan Grant had a hell of a good bull. He was a twin with a heifer.
Yeah.
And the heifer was going to London, but I can't mind what else we had. The heifer was going to London. And I can see myself yet was a brother, and he'd only 1 stone. And this was into September before I noticed. So I went and got Alan Grant, and he says, well, he's just about 9 months old, so we better get him cut tomorrow. So the vet came out and cut him, and he took the wee stone, what's it called, the flank testicle, and it was just a wee thing. But it was the next year, and the heifer was taken back the next year. And it was quite amazing. That bullock had his calf teeth, and his sister had 4 teeth up.
Really?
So,
but there'd be a lot of pure Angus in still. I mean, Angus would have ruled Smithfield from.
but that steer that we had, it was quite amazing. He went on to be champion steer, and Downside made a protest because they bet him the day before in the breed classes.
Right.
Their heifer was champion and he was reserving, so he wasn't entitled to be in there.
Sure.
The Angus was just about unbeatable, and the breed, when they brought in the Continental, they tried to make the Angus like the Continentals and buggered them. Because that steer, Charlie steer that we had, the Charlie that he was off of was the first Charlie bull that was bought for the AI Centre in Perth. And everybody said if we could get the bugger black, he would get the breed of log. And that was the type of bull that he was. Yeah. But the Charlie boys didn't like him because he was too much. But that Rashid Hall sale, it was in the Almart in Perth. Now, 2 hell of a good coos, and they were at Dwina's. Ian Anderson, he bought the 2 coos, one at 5,000, one at 4,500. Right. Oh, but a hell of a good sale. And then I did dispersals after that.
For a while you were bringing, as well as your day job, you'd be bringing bulls out, having them through here, but not many Angus, you were saying. They were
Not right. Yeah.
You'd have the cattle here to sort them out for the sale. Yeah.
But Penny Harvey, does that name mean anything?
Yes, it does, yeah.
3 or 4 or 5 bulls for her. And
you send them up here?
Aye.
Right.
And the first bull she sent up was a bloody topper. He won his class, and I think he was reserve senior champ. And she got 5,000 for him. And then she sent up, it was quite amazing, another end, which was a full brother, and he was only third in the class, but she got 5,000 for him too.
All right, okay.
Who were the great stockmen amongst the Angus?
I would say Dave Smith was the best stockman that ever was.
That's a compliment.
But he drunk too much. Again, I'm not a teetotaler, but there's never nobody seen me drinking in Perth. Again.
Bob Adam was the top man. He was hard to beat.
New house now. You see, the Angus would be sold in the 60s, I would think. And that, I think they took 20 females to the old market.
Dave Smith bought a lot of them.
Well,
well, not him, but
yes, but they were all good. And I've discussed this with different people in the past. This man was discussing breeding cattle. And if your females gets too good, you have a hell of a job getting a bull to be better. Yeah. And I think that's what happened.
That was the problem there,
But they just couldn't. They tried to buy the best bulls that was going, but they couldn't stamp their calves to please them.
The cattle would come down to Perth on the train in the early days.
So there was a train left Elgin and picked up the cattle wagons to Granton. Now, they left Elgin, Aberlour, maybe some...
This week we have a special podcast, listening to an interview that I did with the legendary stockman Bert Rugg in 2015. Sadly, Bert passed away in 2018, but it's great to hear his stories about his career with Angus cattle.
Wagon there, and then I was involved up in that space a bit in a station at Advie, and then Cromdell, and then Granton, and then all that wagons was putting on an engine.
Right, so the wagons would be there, they just keep hooking them up, right.
And
what an operation.
The bulls all walked up the street to the market.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you very much.